It seems like the streaming wars has come to an end with a very clear winner in sight, that being Netflix over all the other competitors because they just figured out the business model. Netflix figured out the way to make money off streaming when all these other companies haven't really been able to put that together. But there's this video saying that there's three major issues facing Netflix. But before we jump into that, there is this chart right here that I couldn't find the one that's up to date to like 2020 to like this year, but it'll illustrate the point enough where you can see all these different streaming platforms. Netflix number one. This was even at the time when Netflix was at this downturn and everyone was freaking out. Disney Plus was soaring. They were doing a little bit of trickery with their to get subscribers and stuff, but they're number one. And if you go out the next couple of years on this chart, Netflix just goes even higher with the password sharing crackdowns. Everything just sent Netflix higher. They're paid like a advertiser tier that has ads on it. It just Netflix went up. All these other ones kind of tapered off. So these guys are actually winning. Netflix is actually winning, and they found the formula. Just produce slop, throw it out there, second, third monitor content for background noise, and just that's the key. Low budget, just non-real retention needed shows, and that's how they make money. But I am curious to see what is the problem here with Netflix, that apparently they have some problems coming up.
Is killing itself. And at the time, that really did seem to be true, as the once dominant platform seems to be making error after unforced error. Today, though, that couldn't be further from the truth. In the company's latest earnings call last week, they announced that they had 283 million paid subscribers.
So these are more updated numbers, right? The chart here cut off here. We can see it kind of tapering down. People started freaking out, saying, oh my God, Netflix isn't growing. Which correlated to a major crash in the stock price. But then the stock price recovered and did a V basically because this growth just returned and they kept soaring.
Up 5 million from the last quarter, plus more watch time in the Nielsen top 10 than all of the other streaming services combined. Now that success could explain why the company's stock price is up 60% so far year to date.
So maybe we can do it before they add these numbers. They actually show where here, so you can kind of see it's like outlined. This was where that little taper off happened. This is the stock price correction, and then it V-shaped, straight line back up. So it did its thing.
Year to date, and why they now have a market cap of over $300 billion. That's more than Disney, Sony, Warner Brothers Discovery, Fox, and Paramount.
And this, just to even take away the other streaming platforms, if you told someone that Netflix is bigger than Disney, that shocks a lot of people. A lot of people will hear that and think like Disney theme parks, all the merch, all of the shows that they've got going on. Like Disney seems like it's so much bigger, but it's not. Netflix is actually dominating that. They're much bigger than Disney. It's actually impressive. And they figured out how to be profitable in doing the streaming service. Disney still hasn't quite got there.
Combined. That is to say, Netflix is huge, and the success only seems to be growing, with this year likely to be their most successful non-pandemic year. But this success isn't impenetrable. Even at their very successful earnings call last week, they still face some difficult questions. Questions which could prove problematic for the company going forward. So let's discuss Netflix's Bounceback. The first notable decision Netflix made was the introduction of a cheaper ad-supported plan, a move that opened up the platform to an even wider audience, particularly price-conscious viewers who had never tried Netflix or whose subscription had lapsed. Secondly, they cracked down hard on password.
So we all know this password sharing stuff happened, but I think he says that the ad tier got a lot of people involved in Netflix and gave them a try. I think it might be I think this cracking down on password sharing led to people who still wanted to use Netflix but didn't want to pay $16, $17 a month for it. They pay $7. They'll say, okay, you know what? I'll deal with some ads and just keep Netflix. I think more people transition that way than it was new people coming on and saying, oh, I got to try Netflix now with these ads.
Now, this obviously led to a boost in subscribers, as unauthorized users were no longer able to piggyback on their friends' accounts, resulting in millions of new official users, many of whom opted for the new ad tier. After all, if they were used to free Netflix, paying full price was likely too large a jump. Finally, they also continued their content investment, with major shows like Wednesday, Monster, Stranger Things, Bridgerton, and The Crown captivating audiences with new seasons in the last couple of years. Combined, this strategy made Netflix essentially unavoidable. Even if you didn't want to pay, even if you'd been kicked off a friend's account, Netflix positioned themselves as both cheap enough and necessary enough to boost profitability.
So this too, I think this might be a problem coming for these streaming platforms. Right now, it's convenient and people don't really care. But as these prices continue to go up and just get ratcheted up, and people don't want to deal with ads, right? There's a chance that pirating becomes something that people go back to doing. So I think for Netflix, they have to make sure that they keep it extremely easy to use and streamline it, which is already difficult because they took away password sharing. They added the ad tier, so people are doing that. But there will be a time where people are upset and don't want to deal with the ads. It already happens on YouTube, and YouTube is free to use with the ads. You don't have to pay for it. So it will come. And when that happens, I do think that there will be a bigger willingness to switch to pirating something instead of paying streaming platforms.
Now, we might have spent the last couple of minutes praising Netflix's ad-supported model, but things aren't perfect in this regard. Because while the move has shown some early signs of success, with ad tier memberships jumping 35% quarter over quarter, the company acknowledges that advertising won't become a major growth driver until 2026. That's in part because, while Netflix has a ton of subscribers, the vast majority are still on the ad-free plans. As such, Netflix doesn't have all that much inventory to sell to advertisers, especially when compared to established players like Amazon and Hulu, who have a significant head start in the ad space. And Amazon is playing the game particularly hard here. Unlike Netflix, who introduced an ad-supported tier below the price of their standard memberships, Amazon decided to automatically convert all of their existing subscribers into ad-supported subscribers, only removing adverts for those who actively chose to pay more.
So that's interesting from Amazon that, they just opt you into the ad tier automatically. I mean, obviously they'd rather have you there at normal price. If you don't want to be in it, you have to pay more. But Amazon and Netflix, comparing the two is kind of weird, because obviously Prime is not just Prime Video. So you get Prime Video just for having Amazon Prime. So the numbers are much different. There's drastically more Prime users than there are Prime subscribers than there are Netflix subscribers. But there's far less active subscribers on Prime Video than there are on Netflix. So if you're going to hone in on that, then that's what you have to look at, because most people who have the ad-supported tier of Prime don't even use it because they don't even know they have it. And for Netflix, these guys are like the only ones who figured out how to make streaming profitable, how to make slop, and not have these massive budgets for shows, to just have small budgets, just background shows that you can put up and do something else that you don't really have to watch. That is what they've done, and that makes them money. They are profitable, so they have figured it out.
Putting downward pressure on ad rates across the industry. Yep, that's right. Amazon suddenly created so much advertising inventory that supply is outstripping demand in the premium video ad market. And other companies, including Netflix, are actually complaining that the price that they charge for adverts is dropping as a result.
That's kind of crazy, actually. The price for ads is dropping because there's just so much more supply, so much more places for these ads to go, that they don't have to pay a top dollar. So, but you talk about ads on the internet, that's basically these on video content. You basically have these streaming platforms, maybe Twitch, but I mean, that's has its own problems right now, or YouTube. So as a platform for selling ads, YouTube wins in this space, right? Because they don't have to pay for the content. I make YouTube videos for free. Every content creator on YouTube, Mr. Beast, all these guys make content for free for YouTube, and YouTube gets 50% of the ad revenue from that, and then you get the other half. So they actually have the best business model here of not having to pay for content and just getting massive eyeballs and highly produced content that other people pay to produce, and you just put it on YouTube for free. So the ads dropping in price is kind of crazy, but as well as comparing the platforms, like, I guess it makes sense though.
During a recent earnings call, Netflix's CEO reiterated, "We are in the subscription streaming business," apparently frustrated by the persistent questions about Netflix's lack of theatrical releases. He emphasized the company's ability to provide filmmakers with a massive global audience. But some insiders do still argue that Netflix's model undermines the unique experience and impact of theatrical releases. If this tension continues, Netflix could well be forced to pay over the odds for future movie projects, something they won't be keen to do, especially if it also increases tension between Hollywood and the streaming giant. Thirdly and finally, Netflix also faces the challenge of bundling. Competitors like Disney and Warner Bros. Discovery are increasingly offering discounted packages that combine multiple streaming services, a strategy designed to lure in new consumers with a greater value and convenience, as well as locking them in with a more diversified content offering. Now, Netflix has long disliked this model, and their co-CEO Ted Sarandos dismissed it as old media models employed by competitors with narrow scope and limited engagement.
That might be true, but I guess we've got the three things that Netflix is apparently struggling with, that it's threatening their business model, I guess. I don't know if I exactly see that as a big issue, right? So although Netflix has this competition with these other platforms, they ultimately are the winners in this space. They're profitable, they're the biggest, they know what they're doing, right? These other guys still trying to figure it out, not profitable, still burning money and slowing down on growth, while Netflix is still moving up. So they are trying these other things. They're trying to bundle things. They're trying to come up with these different ideas and more content and throw this money at different shows and everything. But at the end of the day, Netflix figured it out. They know that you can do low budget slop, throw it on, and just have people put on the background while they do something else, and that makes a lot of money. And then the ad tier also kind of attractive if you're doing something else. Do you really care about seeing an ad every however many minutes, every 20 minutes or something, or whatever that might be? Do you really care about that because you're doing something else? You probably won't even realize the ad's playing. So I'd actually would say that Netflix is definitely not in trouble. They seem to be doing pretty well. I did think that there was a period of time when the password sharing was cracking down and all this stuff, where that was the turbulence. Is a fork in the road. It was either going to work really well for them or be drastically bad, and it ends up that everyone's just too addicted to Netflix and didn't want to let it go, and they bought the ad tier, or they bought a tier of their own, and this subscriber growth continued going up, and they continue making more money and figuring this whole thing out. So maybe one day people will get sick of using stuff and the increasing prices and the increasing ads. Maybe they'll get sick of it and go back to pirating, but that day is not today. That's going to do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video.